Welcome back to the show. Danielle and I are here with John Spurr from Inspired Life Mortgage. We've been talking a little bit about credit card debt and how interest rates have gone up. Enough of the credit. Let's talk about buying versus renting.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite topics.
It's one of all of our favorite topics, actually.
The only way I make money is that people buy homes. So,
we at least have the sell too. But yeah, no, if we didn't believe in real estate and owning real estate, we would not be doing what we do.
I agree. It's, as you pointed out, if you're renting, you don't have that safety net, that equity in a house that you could use. Even as crazy as it sounds, worst case scenario, you sell the house, right?
Right.
You sell the house, you have that cash, you pay everything off, and you start over. You just don't have that little extra safety net when you're renting. It just isn't there.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that as well. If you've bought in the last 2, and even better if you bought in the last 5 years, and you have had these gains where we were getting 20% or 25% in a year, then you probably do have a nest egg, and it's better to sell and give yourself that financial cushion and start over. You can always buy again as long as you've got the income and you've got your credit intact. Starting over is an option that absolutely might make the most financial sense.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the credit end of it. It's protecting the credit. Because it's you can make your credit score go down really fast. It takes a lot of work to bring that credit score back up.
I'll use myself as an example. I had a home that was a larger home, and I left the country for a few years. So I went and I kept it as a rental. And when I came home, my situation in life had changed, and I was in a place where it made more sense for me to be in a smaller place than what I had at the time, and to be spending a little bit less money. And so I was able to sell it and then get myself into a smaller place that wasn't 100% ideal. It wasn't my perfect dream home, but I knew that by getting into that home, I was in a place where I could manage my budget, I could manage my finances a lot easier, and I was in a place where I was still building equity. So it made sense to make a move that, it doesn't have to be your forever home. Sometimes it still is just getting into something where you can build up some equity, you can get yourself, stable for a little bit, and then later on down the road, you're in a really good position. Whereas if you choose to rent during that time, what have you really gained? You might have a little bit more money in the bank account, but you might not.
Yeah, and I mean, I've owned a home since I was 18 years old. I bought my first house when I was 18, and I bought a very small house and took that equity and moved it into another property 5 years later, and I kept doing that. And I feel like I'm in a very nice home in a nice area, and I've got 7 years left on that mortgage, and my mortgage payment isn't that ridiculous. I mean, before I'm 60, my house is going to be paid off, but it was that equity over the years that I sold and used as a down payment on the next house that got us to where we're at. And I think that concept might be a little lost these days, because we were in such a low interest rate environment for such a long time that you could graduate college and go buy that giant house, and that just isn't really a normal market.
It was definitely not a normal market. And I had people that were able to buy and sell within 6 months, not because they were looking to make money, but life changed and they made money just because they happened to buy at the right time. And I do think you need to be a little bit more cautious now. If you're looking at something as a short term, you want to make sure that you feel like you have enough equity in there that you would be able to sell in 12 to 24 months. But yeah, it's been pretty unrealistic for a while. But we do think rates are going to maybe flat, or the house price may flatten a little bit, but still continue to go up. There's no indications in Tucson, with our lack of inventory, the demand that we have, that house prices are going to be taking big declines. We're just not seeing that.
No, and I agree with you. I think Tucson's isolated. I think a lot of people forget that what we see in the news media is a national average, or a national idea of what's going on, even with interest rates. The the national average was 7.25%, and I'm not anywhere near that for rates here or with me. And Tucson's unique in where we're at right now.
Mhm.
I don't even know how many homes are on the market right now. I'm sure it's not anywhere near what's out there looking, because I have a board full of people that can't find a house right now.
Right. Well, you had mentioned a property to us, and I'll just be clear, it's not a listing that we have, but you were going to kind of crunch some numbers on a 1-bedroom, 1-bath that had recently came on the market, and you were doing some calculations there.
And again, this is always one of my fun ones, and I have a bunch of searches out there just because I look for properties for myself. But it's a just over 700 square foot condo inside a Skyline, and it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and it was updated in the last 5 years. It's for sale for $165,000. It qualifies for the 1% down program that we have, so you need $1,650 of your own money to get into the property. On that program, with your taxes and insurance included, you're looking at a $1,380 a month payment. So if you're renting a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom small apartment for $1,200 to $1,400, why wouldn't you buy a condo in Skyline with all the benefits that come along with living in Skyline for $1,400 a month? And I always like using these examples of, a lot of people think when they go from an apartment, they need to go to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a backyard or sign a new lease. Well, if your options are this house or sign a new lease and you're willing to stay in that apartment, why not move to a condo in a really nice area and start building equity? And maybe you keep that house, maybe you sell it in a couple of years and use that equity to roll up. And I have this conversation a lot with people. I don't understand the disconnect from, I'm willing to stay in this 1-bedroom apartment if I have to, but I really want this 3-bedroom house over here, and it's just themselves. Let's do a stepping stone.
Right. I remember I had clients with 2 daughters, and they said, we have to have a 3-bedroom. And I said, I grew up sharing a room with my sister, and I wasn't really harmed by it. I think I came out okay. And sometimes we can't start with everybody gets their own room. And they ended up buying a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and had great equity when they left, and were able to move on to the next step within a fairly short amount of time, just a couple of years. So you got to keep your options open and not get so focused on that dream home that you're willing to give up something good because you're looking for something great. So
yeah, I mean, it's making a small sacrifice today so that you can build that equity and eventually get into that dream home further on in life.
Yep. All right. We will be back in just a few minutes after the break. We're missing